Good afternoon to you all. My name is Dr. Pulak Das and I'm from School of Human Ecology, Ambedkar University, Delhi. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Swami for inviting me to this webinar. And I would also like to congratulate and thank other participants and the audiences for participating in this webinar in the situation of COVID 19. So, this is an apt time for such a theme, webinar of such a theme, where we all are experiencing an unprecedented, extraordinary, never seen situation. By training, I'm an ecologist, and by practice, I my subject area is environmental monitoring and management. I teach environmental impact assessments and application of remote sensing and GIS in School of Human Ecology, Ambedkar University, Delhi. So I thought, as Madam told me, to present something related to this theme of the webinar. I thought I would uh, present something on a relationship between COVID-19 and environment. So let's begin. So these are some of the images which are doing the round nowadays, going very viral. The changes which we are seeing in the I would like I will touch some of the aspects of environment and um, nature and biodiversity, how these are interrelated with COVID situation. What is the impact on lockdown situation on nature? What are the causes which are attributed for beginning of such kind of a pandemic situation, and what is the way forward? So as I was saying earlier, this is an image which shows a difference of the clarity of a place in Delhi just within a gap of 4 or 5 months. And these types of pictures are becoming viral nowadays in social media, where we can see that there are some changes which are happening, which we have never seen earlier and which we never thought that this situation may ever come. So for example, air is becoming very clear, water is becoming clear, rivers which were polluted from last several decades suddenly are becoming clear. Yamuna river, which is kind of considered as a dead river, at least in Delhi, is now becoming clear. There were news from Punjab, I suppose, that people have never seen mm, the mountains, the Himalayas, earlier from their houses. Now it is visible. So this is again an image which is showing the clarity of air during the lockdown situation during April. So since this is a study basically based on the secondary literature, I have tried to use images and graphs and quotes from other sources, and I've tried to put the source also just between those, beneath those images or quotes. This is again an image which is showing the air quality change in 1 year from 2019 and 2020, which was published in Indian Express, and shows the uh, drop down or dropping of pollution levels in parts of China during January and February in 2020. Again, this is an image which shows the changes in nitrogen dioxide concentrations in Italy, which is again another hotspot of coronavirus and its casualties. So we can see the changes in nitrogen concentrations in just within a gap of just 1 year. Again, the same story for China also. This is from again a news article published by BBC, where it shows the dramatic fall in the nitrogen concentration within a gap of just 1 month. So in January, it was all yellow and brown, more than 375 and up to 500 micromole per meter square, whereas in February 10, between February 10 and 25, it's much lesser, less than 125 units. This is from again another study in Hong Kong, where they have studied the differences in some of the pollutants, air pollutants, between 2019 and 2020 in some of the general areas and some of the places along the roads. So we can see there is a huge drop in PM25, PM2.5, and PM10 concentration, ranging from 15 to 18%. Carbon monoxide reduction is around 44%. Similarly, we can see along the roads there has been tremendous decrease of PM, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, and ozone. Similarly, as I was saying, the news articles, there are a number of news articles which shows that due to this lockdown, due to the shutting down of industries, due to the uh, halting of traffic, vehicular movements along the roads, and due to stopping of movement of people, there has been tremendous improvement in the quality of water and air. So this is again a news article from Indian Express, which says about the improvement of Ganga water during lockdown. This is from another newspaper, that is Times of India, during April 29, which says that lockdown improves water quality of Ganga and Yamuna. So what we are observing, the first experience or first uh, observation during lockdown as an environmentalist, as an ecologist, is there has been change in the physical environment surrounding us, which is very evident. Changes in air quality, changes in water quality, especially. Now, the question arises, how beneficial these changes are. Will this remain as it is after lockdown, or will there be a reverse condition where some experts are suggesting that after the lockdown there may be a substantial increase in these concentrations, the quality of air, the concentration of pollutants in river and water, river water and air. So this is something which needs to be seen in relation to another important environmental issue, that is climate change, because we know that one of the major pollutant for climate change is carbon dioxide, and there in the concentration of carbon dioxide in last many, not many centuries, even in many lakhs of years. So I was just going through a study which was saying that in last 10 lakh, around 10 lakh, 8 to 10 lakh years, so from now till more than around 8 lakh years, It has been seen that the carbon dioxide concentration on an average has remained somewhere near 250 to 300 parts per million. There were few occasions where it touched to 300 to 300 350 at least in previous more than around 7 to 8 lakh years. But in last 100 to 200 years, it has started increasing tremendously. And especially after industrial revolution, it has increased tremendously. And at present, the concentration is around more than 410 or more, or 415 parts per million. So so again, so I try to find out what actually will happen to carbon dioxide emission after this lockdown, or what will be the impact of this lockdown on carbon dioxide emission. So I found this article in BBC, from some BBC source, maybe BBC news article, which actually showed, first of all, it is showing the increase in continuous increase in the CO2. But along with this, it is showing one more thing here, that whenever there, actually two more things. So whenever there has been calamitous events which we as a humanity has faced, so we have faced number of calamitous events in last 100 or more so years, such as Spanish flu, Great Depressions, World War, oil shocks, Soviet Union collapse, financial crash during 2008, and now this pandemic situation. It is observed that immediately after that, the carbon dioxide concentration drops down. But after that immediate drop down, it actually increases. There has been evidences, for example, here, if you can see here, after a brief drop down, it increases. So this is a forecast done by some researcher, where they have shown that carbon dioxide concentration may drop down to this red point, but they also have suggested that it will be a brief drop down and it may again increase afterwards. Because to boost the losses, the economic losses which happened during this lockdown, it has been observed that there has been increased in uh, activities such as vehicular movement, industrial movements, and other activities which leads to uh, changes in carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. But again, there has been uh, some other. I found some other studies also. I tried to find out whether this is a universal thing, whether, or are there other things which are associated with this. So I found in a study where it said that, so it was a study, I'm just not able to recall when this study was done, but it said that when a person is is locked down, or when a person is bound by certain limitations to limit their activities. So for example, we are at present, we are bound by this lockdown to limit our movement, day to day movement, maybe by car, maybe by public transport system. It has been observed that human psychology is such that after a certain period, we actually develop this tendency of limiting ourselves. So this is again another side of this study. So according to this study, that means after the lockdown, there will be a tendency that we may not move as frequent, we may not travel as frequent as we were used to before the lockdown. So this is again slightly contradictory to what other researchers are saying. So one hand, people are predicting that there will be sudden upsurge in the uh, transport and industrial activities. But on the other hand, this is another psychological aspect is another side. So this image also I found in one of the article in BBC website, which showed the differences in traffic congestions during 2019 and 2020. So we can see that there has been tremendous decrease in the congestion. If you see this red line as compared to this blue line between 2019 and 20. So this is the case of Berlin and London. Similarly, there are cases of Milan, New York, Paris, Shanghai. So in almost in all of these cities, we can see that there has been tremendous and it's evident also. We know that due to lockdown, their movements have been stopped. And why it is important to know about the traffic movement, because traffic is one of the major uh, emitter of carbon dioxide in our to our environment, to our atmosphere. So this is again another image. I think I have showed this previously in previous slide. So it shows the uh, differences in NO2 density during January 2019 and 2020. This is an image by NASA uh, in and around Wuhan. Okay. So this is a small graphics you can say, which shows the dynamicity of the changes in nitrogen dioxide concentration from January till March. So now let's see another aspect of the interaction between corona or COVID-19 situation and environment. That is the impact on food production. So it has been observed that already food production or agriculture is a sector which is tremendously negatively impacted, particularly a country like India, where we are dependent on uh, rain-fed system. That even a minute changes in climate may bring havoc to our food production. And it has been observed that due to the corona situation, due to the lockdown situation, there has been an addition of complex situations along with the climate change. For example, it is being observed that laborers who were doing the farming activities and other activities in the field are not there. They have moved. So we are seeing how there has been a movement of migrant laborers from the workplace to their villages. So this has a significant negative impact on on the agricultural sector. Let's now see another aspect of how there has been interaction between wildlife and mm, wildlife and COVID-19 situation. So it has been observed. I found number of studies which said that due to this lockdown situation, where there are not sufficient officials in protected areas, and and where there are not no tourists are nowadays going, it is giving an opportunity to poachers actually to poach these wild animals. So for example, this is a case I found where it is observed that Botswana, where black rhinos are comparatively rare or much lower in number as compared to the white rhinos, are under tremendous threat due to this lockdown situation, poachers actually got a golden opportunity, and there has been a poaching of around 8 to 10 uh, rhinos. So the park authorities are now actually trying to move these animals to an unknown place so as to save it from these poachers. This is again another image which says rangers search a motorcycle taxi for poached animals or hunting ammunition in Zanga Sangha Park in Bayanga. This is an image of 14 March 2020. So this is a cruel aspect. So on one hand, we are seeing images, viral images where wildlife, animals, birds are coming into our town. There have been number of instances where we have seen leopards entering in the cities, peacocks roaming in the wild, wild boars, nilgai in Delhi, and different other examples from around the world. Nowhere, many there are many places where we are seeing that these animals are actually roaming free in the absence of human beings, and we as a human beings are uh, sharing it in joy that actually. So for example, noise pollution is one of the major reasons which actually impact the wild birds and wild animals in the environment, especially in the urban environment. So due to the sudden stoppage of uh, the vehicular movement and the noise, these animals are entering. But on the other hand, these images or these news are showing another angle, that these animals in wild are under the threat of poaching. So there has been a number of studies. So earlier we saw the case in Africa. This is a case from Colombia which says there has been spike in big cat poaching during coronavirus lockdown in Colombia. Again, this is another unique situation where, due to the absence of visitors, the ecotourism, the sector of tourism, ecotourism especially, has been tremendously hit negatively. So there are news that ecotourism are collapsing at many places, and we have seen there are a number of protected areas where local people are, or local communities are also involved in actually providing different types of services, and these are actually source of livelihood for them. So they are suffering. So these are two very unique kind of situation. On one hand, where we are seeing that people are poaching these animals. On the other hand, we are also seeing that uh, due to lack of visitors, people are suffering, communities are suffering. So this is a news article from the Guardian uh, from 5th May. This is again another case where, although this type of news was quite few, where it has been observed that these viruses are attacking the animals again. So these the coronavirus is said to be zoonotic. That means it transfer from animals to human being. But these are rare cases where it is again jumping back to animals. So I came across different types of situations which are mix of positive and negative consequences of COVID lockdown situation on wildlife. So the first news here shows. So this is an interesting event, interesting event where it has been found that the giant pandas got actually, in the absence of human beings, they got time for a successful natural mating, where they have been the park authorities were trying to do artificial mating from many years and were not successful. But this time, due to the less disturbance from human beings, it has been observed that they have mated naturally, and they are very much um, optimistic that this time they may it may result into it may result positively. So this is again another positive side of the lockdown situation. Another news which I found is from India, where it has been observed that uh, millions of baby turtles are getting places to hatch because of beaches going empty. So as I was mentioning, there has been number of news articles, number of videos, number of images going viral where we can see wild animals which were never seen earlier in the human habitations are now actually entering. So this is an image which I found which is showing wild goats are venturing further into towns in Wales. Similarly, there are other examples too. So when we talk about what are the consequences of COVID-19 on the environment, on the surrounding environment or ecology of the ecology in our neighborhoods, many a times we forget another aspect of these lockdown situation, which is related with environmental justice. So it has been observed. So there have been news which shows that in US there has been higher cases in a particular communities. So those who are already marginalized, the communities who are economically not well off, were already suffering from other environmental calamities like air pollution, changes in climatic condition, are actually more prone to this virus and are more so virus is infecting them more. So again, this is something. So I'm not going to discuss this in detail here, but this is something which is again needs to be discussed whenever we discuss the impact of corona on the environment, surrounding environment. That is the question of environmental justice, that whether the impact of this infectious disease is equal, or whether it is there are variations among people of different castes, different communities, different economic background. So now let's come to, so I have come to last part of my presentation, which deals with the source or the causes of this, real causes of this pandemic. So I found a study which was in 2007 or 8, which actually predicted that uh, the pandemic like corona is going to happen in near future, because of our human activities, human interventions into the wildlife. We have, we all know that how illegal trades of wildlife is being done, and China is one of the hub of these illegal trade in wildlife, which is being used, which is being due to cultural conditions, they are part of their food. So I found an article which said that uh, during mid 1940s or 50s, there were situation because of the industrial revolution, industrialization. There were agricultural practices were reduced to a much lower number. So people were not getting food. People are going hungry. At that time, government actually promoted the eating up of or consuming wildlife. So not only wildlife, wild animals, wild birds are brought from the wild and sold. They also breed these wild. So they have their these organized mm, management areas of parks where they actually breed these animals for consumption. So this is one of the so we can see the major reason behind this lockdown, which was predicted quite earlier, and and it is said that this is only one of the cases. This is one of the types of corona which is impacted this time. We never know that when will be the next infection, because these are the viruses which were there in the wild animals and were confined to a limit. We have broken that limit. We have encroached their forests. We have deforested their land. Mm, we have degraded their forest, and now we have started consuming consuming these wild animals. So, for example, this is an image which is showing thousands of frozen pangolins lie in pit before being burnt in Indonesia after a pangolin burst conducted by the police. So, after the corona pandemic, there has been hues and cries to actually ban these, and I think there are some government, for example, in some parts of China also, there have been certain restrictions. This is again another image which is saying. Wild animals sold at the Wuhan seafood market in China. So these seafood markets are also known as wet markets because uh, when these animals are cut, the pieces are kept on the frozen ice. But once this frozen ice starts melting, the blood mixed with the water actually drops down to the surfaces, to the soil, and actually the entire paths or roads where people walk inside these markets becomes wet. That is the reason why these are called as wet markets. And for a normal people who are culturally not accustomed to these practices, it is impossible to enter into this market. So this is the study which I was mentioning earlier. Uh, which actually predicted, which says the presence of a large reservoir of SARS-CoV-like viruses in horseshoe bats, together with the culture of eating exotic mammals in southern China, is a time bomb. So it predicted in 2007 itself, and it further says that it is not going to stop if we don't if we do not stop interfering with the wildlife, if we do not stop interfering with the natural habitats where they live. So, so again, this is a very important question. I found this article which actually questions like, so it says about Gaia hypothesis. So we all know about the Gaia hypothesis, which says that there has been a synchronization uh, between the living component and non-living surroundings, and there has been a component of feedback system where one has a control on the other. So this author actually raises question that whether whether the corona is a virus or whether the human beings are virus, and this feedback condition has brought this corona as a mechanism to actually control the situation. So if we think it in another way, so human beings are the only species which has actually increased to such a number which is kind of unnatural. It has encroached all the types of habitats. It has encroached all the continents, and it is degrading the surrounding environment in a way that no other animal, no other species can do. So maybe the nature, based on Gaia hypothesis, is actually taking control in its hand and trying to use this virus, which we call it virus corona, to control the degradation by uh, so-called human beings. which actually acts like a virus. So, with this, I would like to conclude my presentation, and I congratulate everybody. I congratulate Swami Madam, and I want to thank her for inviting me for this webinar. Thank you. Thank you very much.